On June 2, 2002, inside Tongue River Cave in northern Wyoming, a routine afternoon turned into a race against suffocation. Two teenagers crawled into a passage no wider than their shoulders, chasing the thrill of discovery. Minutes later, a single decision triggered a collapse that sealed them beneath hundreds of pounds of stone. Trapped in a space barely large enough to breathe, they had no way forward and no way back. Above them, the mountain remained silent. Behind them, their friends could only watch as the entrance vanished. And in that moment, the outcome was far from certain. The group that gathered that day wasn't made up of experienced explorers. They were teenagers, friends looking for something different to do on a summer afternoon. Among them were 16-year-olds Barry Blaha and Dana Herbert, both eager, both curious, and both confident in a way that often comes with inexperience. Tongue River Cave wasn't an extreme or technical system by reputation. Its main passages were known to be accessible, even inviting at first. That reputation likely shaped their expectations. They didn't arrive with helmets, climbing gear, or formal training. Instead, they carried inexpensive flashlights, spare batteries, and a few borrowed headlamps, enough, they believed, for a simple underground exploration. There was no formal plan, no mapped route to follow, just a loose idea. Go in, look around, and come back out before dark. As they stood at the cave entrance, the atmosphere was light. There was laughter, casual conversation, and the shared excitement of stepping into something unfamiliar. Nothing about the moment suggested danger. If anything, it felt routine. Another small adventure in a familiar landscape. But caves don't advertise their risks openly. The danger isn't always in the obvious drop-offs or deep pits. Sometimes it hides in tight spaces, unstable rock, and decisions made just a few feet too far inside. And as the group stepped into the darkness, that hidden risk was already waiting. At first, the cave felt manageable. The main passage opened wide enough for the group to walk upright, their lights sweeping across stone walls shaped by centuries of water erosion. The air was cool and still. Footsteps echoed softly, reinforcing the sense of space around them. They moved deeper in a loose formation, occasionally splitting into smaller clusters to explore side passages. Some tunnels narrowed and ended quickly, forcing them to turn back. Others curved out of sight, offering the promise of something more. It was exploration in its simplest form, trial and error, guided by curiosity rather than caution. But subtle warning signs were already present. The walls in certain sections showed fractures. Loose stones shifted underfoot. In places, the ceiling appeared uneven, held together by natural balance rather than solid structure. To an experienced caver, these would have been signals to proceed carefully, or not at all. For this group, they barely registered. Then Barry noticed something different. Off the main route, partially hidden in shadow, was a narrow opening, a crack in the rock that didn't resemble the other passages. It looked tighter, less traveled, possibly unexplored. That detail changed everything. He called the others over, and they gathered around, shining their lights into the gap. The beam revealed a continuation, a tight, winding space that seemed to extend beyond what they could see. This wasn't just another tunnel, it felt like a discovery, and that idea carried weight. The thought of finding something new, of going where others hadn't, was enough to override hesitation. Barry went first. The passage forced him to turn sideways almost immediately, then lower, then crawl. Behind him, Dana followed, committing to the same confined space. Their movement slowed as the walls closed in, pressing against shoulders and hips. Progress became deliberate, inch by inch, breath by breath. At its narrowest, the passage shrank to roughly 18 inches wide and 24 inches high. There was no room to turn around easily, no space to sit up, only forward, or back the way they came. And still, they kept going, because from where they were, it looked like the tunnel might open up again. But that assumption was about to be tested. Eventually, Barry reached a point where forward movement stopped completely. The rock ahead constricted into an impassable choke point. No matter how he angled his body, there wasn't enough space to push through. The correct decision was simple: retreat. But in that confined space, with the promise of continuation just inches away, turning back didn't feel like the right choice. It felt like giving up. So Barry chose another option. He shifted one arm free and grabbed a loose rock nearby, about the size of a softball. Using it as a tool, he began striking the stone in front of him, trying to break or dislodge whatever blocked the path. At first, nothing dramatic happened, just small impacts, minor vibrations. Then dust began to fall. Fine particles drifted down from above, catching the light of their flashlights. The air thickened slightly. The sound of each strike echoed differently now, deeper, more unstable. But the effort continued. Each hit transferred force into a structure that had remained undisturbed for thousands of years. The rock around them wasn't solid in the way it appeared. It was fractured, balanced, and dependent on pressure distributed just right. And with every blow, that balance shifted. Then came the sound, a sharp cracking report, louder than anything before it, followed immediately by a grinding shift overhead. Before either of them could react, a massive boulder broke free from the ceiling behind Dana. It fell with force, and in an instant, everything changed. When the dust settled, the passage behind them was gone. The boulder, estimated at over 300 pounds, had sealed the route completely. What had been a narrow crawl space was now a dead end. Barry was pinned near the choke point ahead. Dana was trapped between him and the collapsed stone. There was no room to stand, barely enough space to breathe. Imagine being there, your chest compressed, unable to expand fully, every breath shallow, every movement restricted, the air around you growing warmer, heavier. Behind the rock, their friends reacted immediately. They tried to move it, digging at the edges, pushing with everything they had. It didn't shift. The realization came quickly. They needed help. Some of the group turned and rushed back through the cave, retracing their path to the surface as fast as possible. The call for emergency assistance went out soon after. Inside, time stretched. Barry and Dana remained trapped in darkness, conserving light, conserving energy. Muscles began to cramp from immobility. Circulation slowed. The psychological pressure mounted just as quickly as the physical. And the longer they stayed there, the worse their chances became. Rescue teams from Sheridan County arrived with specialized equipment, but the situation presented immediate challenges. The passage was too tight for multiple rescuers to work side by side. Tools had to be carried in by hand, piece by piece, through the same narrow system the teenagers had navigated earlier. Only one or two rescuers could access the blockage at a time. Every movement had to be calculated. The surrounding rock was unstable, and any mistake could trigger another collapse, potentially making the situation irreversible. Hours passed. The operation became a balance between urgency and caution. Too slow, and the trapped teens would deteriorate further. Too aggressive, and the entire passage could fail. Eventually, rescuers set up a system to pull the boulder free. It required careful positioning, controlled force, and constant monitoring of the surrounding rock. Then, gradually, the stone began to move, inches at first, then more. When the passage finally opened enough to allow access, rescuers reached Barry and Dana and began the process of extracting them. Their bodies, stiff and strained, responded slowly after hours of confinement. But they were alive. Around 10:30 p.m., nearly 8 hours after entering the cave, they emerged back into open air. Both teenagers survived the incident without major physical injuries, but the experience left a lasting impression, not just on them, but on the entire group involved. What began as a casual outing became a clear example of how quickly conditions underground can change.